I'm doing the presentation on behalf of Vleis and Traal, which is a sponsor, as you know. And then obviously it sounds like that, it's a very good few days, and obviously it's going to be another good day coming tomorrow. Now, I went to AI and asked them, what about back to basic stockmanship? Because that was the brief, and that was what they were asking me to do. And AI says this: it's stripping away fancy methods and going back to the core truths. And I think I would always say it's back to the natural cow. If you want to go back to basics, we must forget all these fancy points and go back to the core principle. We will discuss some of that. So what do we need to strip away? I think the first one is to strip away that I think we can't use technology to the point where we at the moment are and think that we can avoid the thousands of years of symbiosis between animals and grazing. And I think the problem is today is that because we went so far away from the natural grazing methods and the way we treat animals, and now the input cost has caught up with us. And the input cost is now so high, and our product price have basically stabilized for a long period, and now we realize, this is a problem. The other one is we can't not understand, not realize, or totally disregard how tightly bound we are to the natural world, which we call Mother Nature. There's a saying that say, Mother Nature will always have the last say. And I think we've got to a point now where we're almost there, that Mother Nature say, you've pushed me too much, and I'm gonna push back. And it's pushing back by increased input costs. Okay, because there is a symbiosis between cattle and veld which we don't understand. And that comes from the creation of the world, where God created this thing in a perfect way. And in this thousands of years, they managed to find each other. Grazing and animals managed to find each other. And then, now what is the basic need of an animal? The first one, except for water and grazing, is to survive. That is the DNA of a cow. What we've done, we've pushed that, and we wanted to have big weaning weights, we wanted to grow faster, and have more milk. And that is 100% against the true DNA of a beef cow. These man-made, bragging right, the way you want to call it, is foreign to the beef cow. It's foreign to a beef cow. Survival depends on the availability of food and water. Now, I thought, let me not even discuss water. I mean, water is an essential part. Cattle die quicker of lack of water than lack of grazing. No, grazing is more a long-term thing. But on the food side, the question is, can we grow more of it? Because what happened for thousands of years, we were trying to increase weaning weight. To increase weaning weight, we need more milk. And doing so, it must grow faster. And in doing all these things, we've created an animal that can't live off the natural veld. And this happened over thousands of years. And we've got all sorts of things. And I'm not against the technology, and I'm not against the science and all these things. But I think we pushed it too far. So what is needed? The first one, and we will talk a little bit more, is biological capital. And that is the healthy soil, healthy plant, and this whole thing about healthy animals. And then and I see a lot of female people here, you are the one that have the wallet and you can decide where you want to spend that rand. And you want to spend it in a place where you buy healthy food for your people. So the housewife is the one with the most say in this whole thing. Then on top of that, we need is biological category. The other one is animals that is adapted to natural environment. And again, and I think we, and I'm one of them, we as stud breeders have artificially increased our management to a point where animals don't know how to be a natural cow. And then I think in the farming industry, we have to build stronger profit margins. And contrary to popular belief, is that there is not a lot of profit. If you look at the investment of farming, there's not a lot of profit in the farming game. How do we get there? This, to me, is probably the most important point, is we have to add cattle numbers increase profit, period. But it must be sustainable. So it doesn't help you putting, you can only run 100 cows and you put on 500 cows and say, but Gerrit said we must just add more. That it must be sustainable. It must be sustainable. And if you do that, we need to concentrate and focus and invest in planned grazing to improve our natural resource. And if we're not going to invest time, money, effort in methods and infrastructure to be able to graze better, we will not fight against, we won't have sort of answer against the higher input cost. Guys, if we think we're going to leave the natural world behind, we are fools. So whatever you do on your farm, make sure it's in line with the natural world. The natural world are resilient enough to come back, to bounce back. We must just create the climate for the natural world to bounce back. And it's going to bounce back much better than what we can try and manipulate or whatever to try and do that. We mustn't forget that all farmers, all cattle farmers, are in the energy business. Solar energy, which at the moment is still free, and it's good. And that energy then will make sure that we're going to grow more plants, and those plants we use to graze the animals. So solar energy is our business. And the perfect process to be able to generate this is the process of photosynthesis. I mean, God created it thousands, millions of years ago, where you need sunlight, you need carbon dioxide, you need water. And then they produce sugar and oxygen, which we breathe to live. Okay? Then the sugar, some of the sugars go to the roots and some is for growth. And here, in the roots, some is utilized for growth and the other goes into the riboces, where fungi, bacteria, and all those use these exercise as energy. And that's why I say the secret of stockmanship lies beneath the soil. If we're not going to manage the soil health, we're going to go down and we're going to get degraded and degraded and degraded and degraded land. And there's a lot of things we can talk about which I don't think we have the time. But yeah, all right, I'll come to that now. Can we influence it? Yes, we can. What we do above the soil have an influence on what happened beneath the soil. If we manage above the soil correctly, we're going to improve our soil health and living soil. And that is the most important thing, because we can't see there, and we don't understand it. And that's why I think for years and years we ignored it. I think Dr. Ludo Besani, I think he talked here, he said, you know, and he's now somebody that is the speciality, and he says that they thought that soil is just something to keep the plants rechtop, you know. So it's much more. There's an enormous health underneath the soil. What happens if you have living soil? You see more dung beetles. You will see what we see now after 6 or 8 years, we start seeing natural legumes coming back. Legumes which we never saw. Okay? Now we start seeing, which is very, very interesting. We see new species. We see the composition of the species change from the turpentine to rooigrass and all the other good species. And now we start seeing, for the first time this year, we saw winter greens. God created green grass in winter. Not planted. It was always been there. And now that we've created the right climate, we start seeing green winter grass. And all of a sudden, there's a saying that Augustus maak maar en September maak dood. Now all of a sudden, Augustus is a great month, and September even better. Because we start seeing now, I would say about 15-20% of our grazing is now winter greens. Grass is not planted, but they start germinate when the frost come. And they see it now.
What species?
Elytrichon. En daar's 'n reddingsgras ook. Hierdie is klein haver en ons het nog so 'n paar ander wat ons sien wat ons nog nie kon uitdien nie, want hulle was te opgevreet in die winter. Toe ons nou agterkom, ons kry hierdie goed. So I think we will probably have about 5 species in the rest camps. But this Elytrichon is now really, you know, exploding. It's really something that makes it worth it. The Brix value is improved if you have healthy soil. The Brix value is just a sugar content. So it means we've got more nutrition in our grazing. The water holding capacity improves. If we increase the organic matter by 1%, we increase the water holding capacity by 20,000 gallons or 180,000 liters, or the equivalent of 20 millimeter of rain. Just because we create a healthy soil. And now all these benefits is coming our way. We produce more grass on our land. Last year we done a thing with Molotech, and you know, some of this camp we produced 3.7 tons dry matter per hectare, which is the equivalent of 4 times our normal carrying capacity. The end result is, okay, yeah, this is a very good point. We can't buy or rent grass more cheaply than growing more. Kan ek dit weer sê? We can't buy or rent grass cheaper than growing more. The end result, a higher carrying capacity. We run on a 1.82 times norm for last 10 years. So where we needed 6 hectares for a livestock unit, we're running then on just below 3. And this is now, so what happened is that we actually bought the same, if we had 1,000 hectares, we bought 1,000 hectares by just managing the existing 1,000 a bit better. Without the debt, without the interest, without the bank looking over your shoulder, just by management. Just by management. There's a few last thoughts. The one is playing a game where the rules is set by others is unwinnable. If we're going to concentrate on what the feedlot is telling us, or concentrate on whoever is telling us what, if we're going to play the game that they've got the rules and they set the rules, we will not win. So we as farmers have to be profitable within our grensdrade, in our fences. And the feedlot must make their own money. You know, whoever ever must make their own money, but we must make money for ourselves. And I think we've been dragged along by the other parts of this whole chain, and we made them profitable, and we were losing. We will not be sustainable if we're not going to improve our grasslands. And we're going to try that. It's not going to work. And we've tried it. I think a lot of farmers have trying to do this for thousands of years. It doesn't work. What happened? If you see, like in Namibia, bush encroachment came in and all these things because we didn't manage the grasslands well. And the last one, profits derived from management are inexpensive. It only takes a bit of thinking time. Professor Johan Willemse said, you've never ever seen a successful lazy person. If you're lazy, then farming is not for you. Okay, so we must spend time to think. There's a lot of people. When we started 10 years ago with Regen Ag and all these things, there was very few people that we can go to and say, listen, what now? But now there's a lot of people. We don't have to struggle. We don't have to struggle on your own. And I think there's one last slide in there. Okay, that's my last point. Let a cow be a cow. We try to make a cow a pig or one other thing, which a cow, the DNA is not that. So let the cow be a cow and produce a calf from natural grazing. And I think that's where I think we must go back to basics, that we produce enough kilograms profitable from the natural veld. I conclude. The secret of cattle breeding lies beneath the soil, and I showed you. I think they say logic must be our teacher, observation our classroom, and life experience our degree.